What's up YouTube, and thank you guys for watching the Soldier Barber Life. Today I'm going to be doing an in-depth tutorial on how I give myself a haircut, which will be a medium skin fade with the number 1 on the top. I'll throw some enhancements on it, so stay tuned. These are going to be the tools that I will be using to do this self haircut. From right to left, I have my wall customized balding clipper. I have the Selfcutsystem Saber, my Babyliss Gold FX, and I will have color coded guards, my half guard, number 1 guard, and 1.5. A couple brushes and combs, my Tune 45 triple cartridge razor, my air compressor, and the enhancements that I will be using. So with every haircut, the first thing you want to do is comb the hair out, and the purpose of this is just to lift the hair up off of the scalp, so when you cut it down you get a nice even cut. And then also what it does is that you're just laying the hair in the direction that it grows, so you can get a feel of how you'll be cutting it. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. One of my goals for this channel is I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year. So if you can, please help me out with that. So the first step I will be doing is going in with my customized wall balding clipper. And this is what I will be using to set in the bald guideline. And for me, I'm doing a medium skin fade. So I'm setting in that bald guideline right below my vertical bars. And so it'll be no C-cup on this, so I'm going right above there and I'm touching lightly. So when you're setting in your first bald guideline, you just want to do light taps. Don't dig in, don't press too hard, because that's going to make it even harder to get that bald guideline out. So then we are going to flip our clipper over, and then we are going to take out all that hair below our bald guideline, and then just being very careful that we don't go above the guideline, and then just be slow as we get to the top, because you don't want to create a new guideline. And then we will just repeat the same steps all the way around on the other side. So the next step, I will be using my Selfcutsystem Saber with the lever all the way open, and I will be using that to set in my next guideline. This guideline that I set in, I will be going up about a full inch just to give it that transition and gradients that needs to be. So one technique that you may see me doing is that I am actually stretching the skin. I'm using my opposite hand and I am pulling up opposite of the direction that I'm fading. And that's just stretching the skin out, making it easier to make that blend, and it's also putting some tension on it. If you have looser skin, let's say you're older or something, this is definitely something you want to do so you don't snag yourself with the clipper blade. So now that that initial guideline has been set in, I will be closing the blade all the way and attacking the bottom of this guideline I just set in. I will only be going up about halfway with this, and hopefully by doing so it'll knock out this bottom guideline. So the next step that I'll be doing is opening that lever up halfway, and then what that's going to do is that's just going to connect that bottom line where it was all the way closed to the top of that guideline where it was all the way open, and then it's just going to blend those two in together. Then I will just be repeating those same steps on the other side to make it all flow together. Next step, I will be using my half guard with the lever all the way open, and on this guideline I will only be going up about a 1/2 of an inch. So the next step, I will be closing that lever all the way and then attacking the bottom of that guideline, going up no more than halfway. And as previously done before, we will close the lever all the way and try to get the bottom of that line to blend into the top of the line. So the next step, I will be using my 1 guard, and I am actually going to use this length to knock down the top length that I have. You'll see me working my way in the back, and as I come up to the front of my hairline where it is light, I don't take that guard over it. I actually lift up off of it, and I do that whole section separately, because if you take that same guard over a light area, it'll make it even lighter than the rest of the hair. So one technique that you can use if you're dealing with thinning or receding areas is to step up to the next higher guard. In this case would be a 1.5. And what that will do is that 1.5 guard can potentially knock that hair length down to the same length that you would want it. In this case, I had the rest of my hair on top at a 1, so that 1.5 guard could match it better. Another technique that some barbers do is that they actually will freehand that whole front area as well. So one technique I like to do as well is use that next higher guard for the areas in my crown. Since my crown could get a little light, I use that 1.5 guard, and I will go over that area in my crown, going in the direction that it grows, and just making sure that I keep it all even and consistent. So the next step is I'm going in with my 1 guard with the lever all the way open, and I'm setting in my next guideline. This guideline will probably be about a full inch, just to give more of that transition and gradients to the top. So the same steps as before, we are going to close that lever all the way and start attacking the bottom of that guideline, going up no more than halfway. And we will repeat the same steps on the other side. So now I will be using my 1.5 inch guard with the lever all the way open, and I will be setting in my next guideline. Now you will notice when I'm doing this guideline, I am going in different directions. And the reason for that is when you're doing these guidelines, you have to go in the opposite direction or against the grain of the way that the hair is growing. When you get to the top part of my hair around the parietal ridge area, my hair grows forward and down. So then that's why you'll see me in certain areas kind of going at an angle versus just going straight up. And same as before, we're closing that lever all the way, and we're attacking the bottom of that guideline, going up no more than halfway. So now you'll see me go back to my 1 guard, close the lever all the way, and I'm going with the grain up in that top area around my parietal ridge. And I'm just trying to make that transition better and smoother. Sometimes that 1.5 guard doesn't get it all, so taking that 1 guard and going with the lever closed all the way and going with the grain will really help knock down some of those hairs in that area and give it a better blend. So the rough draft is complete, and now I'm just dusting myself off and gonna brush my hair down in the direction that it grows, just making sure get everything laid down and just observing everything to see what I have to do for my next step. This next step is what I call detail work, and detail work is really what's going to be the difference between making your fade a good fade and a great fade. So that's just going back in and cleaning up any guidelines that you may see, any areas that may not be fully blended. Just going back in with your various guards and hitting any of those dark spots. That way you can have a completely gradient fade. For my next step is I'll be using some spritz and I'll be spraying that on my hairline, and you'll see me brush my hair forward. And I'm just doing that because I have a thin hairline and I'm really trying to lock in all those hairs and bring them forward to make it appear fuller and hold them in place for when I hit it with the trimmer. So for my lineups, I usually like to start in the middle of the hairline and work my way to one side, and then I will tap on one of the vertical bars, and then I will go back to the middle and then work my way to the other side, do that vertical bar, and just look at it, make sure everything's straight and symmetrical, and make any adjustments that I need to. So after that, I go in with my straight razor, and you want to make sure that you pull the skin away from the direction that you are using the razor. Hold that razor blade at about a 45-degree angle, and I just follow up that lineup that I did with the straight razor. So this is the final result of the cut naturally before enhancements are added to it. Alright, so now we are going to enhance the cut, and the purpose of this is just to fill in those light areas and give that hairline a more fuller defined look. As you can see, the haircut was already good before I even added this, but we'll just set it off and take it to the next level, and that's what enhancements are supposed to do. So I'm using my no drip. That's the enhancements that I choose to use. On my hair color, the Onyx Black works really good. I'm using my 245 clutch card, enhancement card, and then my cordless air compressor. And I'm just spraying that on there, holding that card at an angle, and then I'm spraying kind of at an angle as well. So now I'm going to follow that up with the white barber pencil. And the reason why I'm using the white is based on the skin color. So I am a more light skin complexion. So for someone who's my skin color, you want to use the white. You don't want to use like the light brown because you won't be able to tell a contrast. So after drawing that line in with your pencil, you're going to go in with your trimmers, and you're just going to try to blend that white line out. And it's just creating a contrast between the darkness of your hairline and the color of your skin, and it's just making a contrast between the two to make that hairline pop more. So next I go in with my straight razor, and I'm just cleaning up that white line, just taking any excess that may be there and cleaning that all up and just giving a really defined straight white line.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
So this is the final cut, and as you can see, it turned out great. Everything looking good on it. The fade after the detail work is blended, hairline is popping, just everything about it is good. I always get asked by other people when I'm at work or whenever I'm out, like, who cut my hair, and to their surprise I tell them that I cut my own hair. So I did this tutorial for you guys just in case somebody wanted to learn how to cut their own hair or just see how I do it.